Alright, Karina Baby, for October the 10th, it's My Star's Car. Mr. Star bought a car, drove it properly near and far, raced it up and down a hill, round about the town until sputter, 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 hiss, blump, pop. The car came to a sudden stop. "What's the matter, little car?" said the worried Mr. Star. Said the car, "Well, can't you see I'm out of gas? Now, please fill me." Oh, he drove his car everywhere and he didn't check the gas. You have gas gauges and dummy lights in your car. So you have, a lot of people have an air pressure one. It looks like a U with a little exclamation point in it, and that's your air pressure. I don't have one of those. I had one on one of my old cars, and you also have a water light to see if your antifreeze has enough water in it. You have an oil light to see if you have enough oil in your car. You have an engine light to check your engine whenever anything goes in there. It could be a catalytic converter, it could be an O2 sensor, it could be anything like that. It could be a mass airflow sensor. Like, you have so many little dummy lights on your car, so you look at it and you go, oh, my car needs something. Because, you know, when you drive your car every day, you can feel your car, right? And you can feel when it has trouble, when it stops, or when it goes. And the first thing you do is you take it to the shop and you get it looked at. But it has a light in it, and it has sensors in it, so this way you know and can pinpoint where the problems are. So I feel like they put too many sensors and too much stuff in it, because back in the day they used to just run. But things change. Alright, baby cake. Yesterday was The Brave Little Tailor. Today we're going to be reading... Oh no, yesterday was A Gingerbread Man. I'm wrong. Remember, run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man. Okay, so today is The Horned Goat. There was once a goat, a wicked horned goat. She was at war with everyone, did mischief to all, butted with her horns, stamped her feet, and threatened, "I, a hairy horned goat, whoever touches me will fare badly. I will stamp him with my feet. I will beat him with my tail, and I'll eat him up." All feared her because she threatened them terribly. The fox lowered his head, hung his tail between his hind legs, and whispered, "I am not strong enough to make the creature come out. I can't help us." They went away into the forest crying bitterly. A hare met them and said, did I skip a page? I think the page is stuck. Okay, so let's go back. Threatened them terribly. She grew bold, minded nobody, and pillaged every garden. What she couldn't eat, she broke, stamped on and damaged. All suffered because all were afraid. One day she went into the tailor's garden, where the tailor sat sewing at the window. When he spied the goat among his cabbages, he jumped up, shouting, but the goat minded him not. Just as if she hadn't heard him cry out, "Oh, your hour has come. Don't you think a tailor is afraid of a goat?" shouted the master. He caught up his big tailor shears, jumped through the window, and ran towards the goat, opening and shutting his shears. The goat saw the tailor for the first time. For the first time, also, she saw shears, and she became frightened at the brave tailor. She ran, and yet he followed her, opening and shutting his shears all the while. The tailor was thin, lean, and light, and he had long legs, but still the goat ran faster on her 4 feet than the tailor could on his 2. She escaped him, and the tailor fell on the grass, puffing. I am a hero. There is none braver than I, he said. And he went home a proud and hearty man. The goat kept on running, leaving the road, and she ran through the thick forest until almost ready to drop from exhaustion. She fell into the fox's den. I shall remain here. The tailor won't be able to find me, she said. So she stayed, but she was so frightened that she trembled all over. By this time, Mrs. Fox had come home, but she could not get into her den because it was occupied by the goat. "Who's in there?" she called angrily. The goat was afraid, but she shouted loudly, "I am a hairy-horned goat. Whoever touches me will fare badly. I will stamp him with my feet, I will beat him with my tail, and I will eat him up." Mrs. Fox almost fainted from fear. She went aside and said, crying that she had no place to go. Soon Mr. Fox came home, and seeing his wife in distress, he asked her, "What has happened to you, mother? Why do you cry?" She answered, "A terrible misfortune has befallen us. Somebody went into our den, does not want to come out, and threatened to eat us up." "Oh, who can it be?" said the fox. "I will make him come out." Together they went to the den. The fox, knowing he was in the right, said boldly in a deep voice, "Who is in there?" The goat was very much frightened, but she shouted with all of her might, "I am a hairy-horned goat. Whoever touches me will fare badly. I will stamp them with my feet, I will beat them with my tail, and I will eat them up." The fox lowered his head, hung his tail between his hind legs, and whispered, "I am not strong enough to make the creature come out. I can't help us." They went away into the forest crying bitterly. A hare met them and said wonderingly, "This is news, Mr. Fox," crying. "Oh, it's nothing. I have just tasted some strong tobacco," explained the fox, wiping his eyes with shame. "Tobacco? A goat, and not tobacco. A goat went into our den, and will not come out. Where shall we go now? Poor orphans," cried Mrs. Fox. The hare, being kind-hearted, felt sorry for Mr. and Mrs. Fox. So what did Mr. Fox try to do there? He tried to be like, "It's just tobacco," and he's wiping away his tears. Right? It's just tobacco that I tasted and smelt, and nothing at all. And what did Mrs. Fox do? She goes, "No, it's not tobacco. We are orphans now because there is a goat in our den." The hare, being kind-hearted, felt sorry for Mr. and Mrs. Fox. He cried with them a little, and then said, "Am I a hare of hares, afraid of a foolish goat? We shall see." He whisked past the foxes to their den so fast that they could barely follow him, and he called, "Who is in there? Come out right now. Come right out." The goat became more and more frightened because she knew there were many more animals in the forest, and although some were afraid of her, there might come that would chase her out of the den, and she thought that the tailor with his big shears waited outside the den. She stamped her feet and cried in a fearful voice, "I am a hairy-horned goat. Whoever touches me will fare badly. I will stomp him with my feet, I will beat him with my tail, and I will eat him up." The hare jumped aside and fled as if the whole pack of greyhounds pursued him. When he saw that no one was after him, however, he felt ashamed and went back to the foxes. Now the foxes were asking the wolf to help them. Mrs. Fox sat under a bush, adding a word or two to the gentleman's conversation. Mr. Fox, arm in arm with the fox, paced to and fro, putting the whole matter up to the wolf. "What shall we do now?" the fox kept saying. "It is of no use looking for a new place. At all the dens, small holes, and even last year's nests are occupied. Everything has its own corner and a roof over its head, except us poor orphans. We foxes of foxes that used to live comfortably. What shall we do when the little cubs come? Help us, Mr. Wolf, as you are out, as you are our relative, friend, and grand and godfather, and I am helpless. The wolf listened patiently and said, gnashing his teeth, you will be sleeping on that goat's skin yet. You shall. Lead me to your den. It is time to end this evil thing. They went to the den, and the hare scramping after them. The goat heard them coming and closed her eyes, thinking her last hour had come. The wolf gnashed his teeth again, shouting, who is in there? The goat, awaiting her death, at first could not make a sound, but then, in a terrible fright, she screamed in a voice she could not recognize as her own. I am a hairy-horned goat, and threatened as she had been before, when the wolf heard that the goat would stomp him with her feet, beat him with her tail, and become so frightened that he slitted his ears. Stepping aside from the den and whispering to the fox, I cannot help it. It is too much for me. Well, didn't I say so? Groaned the fox. Such a misfortune to die without a home because of a horned goat. They all wept and cried aloud. Going farther into the forest, they met a bear, very much satisfied with himself, having just eaten a lot of sweet honey. He had been somewhat bitten by the bees who guarded their property. One part of his face was swollen, but he did not care. The hairy beast, hearing so much lamentation, he stopped and asked what had happened. They all began talking at the same time, making so much noise that the bear covered up his ears and shouted to them to speak one at a time. Otherwise, he said, he could not understand them, and they would make him deaf. Mrs. Fox had a greater ability for talking than the rest, so she described their situation, their sad affliction, saying unpleasant things about each and every helper. The bear laughed heartily, repeating time after time, they're afraid of a goat, they're afraid of a horned goat. The fox and the wolf resented the bear's belittling remarks, but they said nothing, as they wished him to help them. When the bear had stopped laughing, he said, all right, now let us go to the goat, but I must take along my two helpers. His two helpers were a crab and a porcupine. The crab walked along slowly, moving his claws, and threatened, I am a crab, and this is the way I pitch. The porcupine rolled on his soft feet, stuck out his needles, and kept on saying, I am a porcupine, and this is the way I prick. So the crab is saying, I am a crab, and this is the way I pinch. I pinch, I pinch, I pinch. The porcupine is saying, I am a porcupine, and this is the way I prick. The bear called his helpers, and the whole crowd went to the den. The bear asked the goat, How fare you in the den, my nanny goat? The goat was terror-stricken because she had never heard such a gruff voice, but she threatened as usual. I will stamp you with my feet, I will beat you with my tail, and I will eat you up. Oh, dear me, laughed the bear. Eat up fast, don't delay. I'll send you down too. Turning to those around him, he said to them, the crab and the porcupine will go in to chase the goat. The wolf and I will wait at the mouth of the den to catch her. Mr. and Mrs. Fox had better wait on the top of the hill to get her in case she should slip from our hands. The hare, being the fastest, had better run to the other side of the hill, should she pass us all. He won't let her go. So the crab pinched the goat with all his strength, and the porcupine rolled with all his needles over her. Back, all over her back. Look at, there's the bear, the porcupine, and the goat. Oh, the hare, and the goat. What does it say? Oh, it's just the bear, the hare, and the goat. And the goat whisked away from the den immediately, dashed past the bear and the wolf, and ran up the hill so fast that the foxes stepped aside. The hare watched better than the rest. He jumped straight on her back and did not let her go. The whole crowd came running to merit out justice to the goat. Well, said the bear, you got what you asked for. Your end has now come. Let the foxes judge you, for they are the ones you wronged. The goat saw that she was in trouble, and that no one was afraid of her. So she began from a different angle. She stamped her feet, held her sides, and mocked them. What heroes you are, all of you together to get one goat. A bear and a wolf, 2 foxes and a hare, and those other 2 have not reached me yet. Now you're so anxious to get to my skin. Hasten with my end. Otherwise I'll make you known throughout the forest. They were ashamed and afraid that the other animals might hear the goat shouting. And so the wolf said, all right, we will not go against you, a crowd against one. If you wish, you can have a proper war. Let us each gather an army and meet again in 3 days. 3 days. Agreed? Agreed, shouted everyone. Even the goat agreed. For what could she do? The goat didn't have a choice but to agree. She couldn't be like, look, I was just afraid because someone was chasing me with shears. No. She agreed to, in 3 days' time, she'll stamp, beat, and eat these people, but she's not going to, probably. Just the same, she was glad that she gained 3 days' time. They parted to gather their armies. The goat's enemies did not even try to find any allies, laughing at the thought of her army. The bear, the wolf, the fox, just the 3 of them were ready to fight the goat. As it would not be becoming of Mrs. Fox to fight, the crab and the porcupine could not be found, and they were all ashamed to ask the hare, for he had caught the goat. It went worse with the goat. She was afraid of the tailor, and she had accounts with other people. Where could she look for an army? She went hither and thither, but from each that she asked, a dog or a horse, she received the same answer. You brewed the beer, drink it yourself. Besides, they were afraid to fight a bear and a wolf. The goat was desperate. She thought to herself, I will simply pay with my head, for I must keep my word, and I cannot find anybody to help me. But on the 3rd day she came across Latke, a dog with a scalded side, who was willing to help her. He licked his side, saying, I may just as well fight as not. I had one war with my master for killing his lamb, and another with my mistress for the lard she did not lock up in time. I may as well have a 3rd war in the forest. I do not mind, let us go. There are enough of us, we need at least one more. There are not enough of us, we need at least one more. I'll bring along 2 more, promises the dog. Soon he brought a dark gray cat and a scraggly rooster, who was not afraid of anything. There are 4 of us now, and that makes a whole army, said the dog. Let us go. And they went into the forest. The 3 left in the forest and had grown tired of waiting so long for the goat's army. The fox at last begged the bear, "Oh, brother, you know to climb trees. Go up a pine, and you may be able to see them from that height." The bear climbed the pine, looked around, and called down, "They're coming! They're coming!" But do you know it is a fierce-looking army? One shouts, "Let me have him! Let me have him!" The second one crawls along the ground, scanting our tracks. The third one has a glistening sword hanging down his side. And this terrible goat, to make matters worse, well, my dear, you better look out for yourselves, for I am not going down. For I am not getting down from the pine. At once the wolf leaped aside and ran away. The fox dug into the moss so that only the top of his tail was seen. The goat came with her army looking for her enemies, but she found nobody. After a while, the cat sped. The fox spied the fox's tail and grabbed it with his sharp claws. The fox jumped out, shouting dreadfully, and in a fright the goat's army ran in different directions. The cat was frightened the most, and he ran up the tree to where the bear sat. "There, after me," thought the terrified bear. He let go of the branch where he sat and fell down to the ground with such a shock that the earth around him trembled. "Well, well," grumbled the bear, "now I may wander for 3 days and not meet anyone. My sides ache, so I will not leave without a message. If I should only catch the sight of the hare, he would save me." Somehow he got up and went along moaning, when suddenly he heard nearby the goats dolefully bleating. "Blah, blah. If I could only get hold of you, I'll make your sides ache too," thought the bear to himself. Just then the goat appeared in front of him. The hare sat on his back, holding her fast by her horns and threatening, "I will not let you go. You must be punished. You lost the war since I caught you fleeting. Let the fox judge me." "Oh, Mr. Hare," called the delighted boar, "Rum brother brought some mosquito fat, as I must be message after the war. After that, my previous hope is in you, that you will save me, because I cannot go far by myself." The hare did not hesitate a moment. He jumped off the goat's back and scraped away. For the mosquito's fat, that was all the goat needed. She knew the boar could not chase her, so she leapt off and ran away. She ran 1, 2, 3, then ran 6 weeks and a year, and maybe still running to this very day. Alright, baby cakes. Let's do happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Karina. Happy birthday to you. Every single month on the 10th of the month, we'd always light candles and let you blow out as many candles as you want. It is the 10th of the month, so it is your birthday day. It's not your birthday month. But you're 5 years and 6 months old today on the 10th. So I love you, baby. I love you so much, and I miss you so much. I wish I could be right there with you. I don't know if you remember the Italian version of it or not, but it's Tantia cordiate, Tantia cordiate, I Casaline, so your wishes will come true. So, happy birthday to you, Tantia cordiate. Happy birthday to you, Tantia cordiate. Blow out your candles, I Casaline, so your wishes will come true. So your wishes will come true. I don't remember how to say so your wishes will come true. I remember the rest of it. I gotta look up the song. But baby cakes, I love you. I love you so much. Let's do we sit and watch the rain as it falls from the sky, and we are glad to be inside where it is warm and dry. Oh yes, I do love the rain. It keeps the earth so clean and helps the pretty flowers grow from the mountains to the streams. Alright, Karina, let's do Lila Tove. Lila Tove, and good night to you. Lila Tove, may your dreams come true. We sing Lila Tove, may Israel protect you throughout the night until we reach the morning light. Karina, baby, Papa always used to say that Mama's Papa's sun, Papa's my moon, and you are quite literally our rainbow baby, and we both love you. We need to find a way to work together. We always have had to find a way to work together. We can't be each other's enemies. Mama decided to be with Papa for 13 years, and he does some things that are unique or different or weird, but everybody does. And Mama's gonna get to see you soon, honey. Very, very soon. I love you, I miss you, and I can't wait to see you, baby.